Namaskar everyone, welcome to Astro Satvik. Today I am having a very special guest with me, Chandrasekhar sir. I don't think people might be knowing much about him, but I must tell, if you go through the old articles of Saptarishi Astrology and his channel, you will find out the depth of his knowledge. And I must say, Chandrasekhar sir is one of those experts who can translate nadis. He has translated few nadis and also translated some Jaimini sutras also. So Chandrasekhar sir is with us. So now I'll allow him to speak further. Okay, yeah.
So, Satvik, a very good morning or rather around noon to you and to all the listeners. I want to talk about Jaimini astrology. See, I'm sure everybody is aware that there are two basic streams of astrology. There are many. One is what is called as a traditional astrology or Parashari, and the other is the Jaimini astrology, as it is called. That name derives from Jaimini Sutras or Upadesha Sutras. They are differently named by different people. And then there is a lot of misunderstanding about it. You will find that not many people use Jaimini astrology, as it is called, because there is a huge amount of confusion about what it actually means and how it is to be applied in a simplistic manner.
So
Now,
regarding confusion, you are very correct. Those confusions I want to put in the starting. First of all,
sure.
is there a misinterpretation of the word kala, which means degree or minutes? Because few
Yeah,
people argue Vemuri Shastri ji use minutes for the Atma Karka.
I know, I know, I
And
know.
another reason why is this happening, that in different commentaries, for example, commentary by Somanath or Krishna Mishra,
Yeah,
the son and the father, both of them are differing in terms of calculation. Someone is saying calculate Arudha by this point of view, someone is saying
yeah,
calculate by this point of view. So what is this? Because I can't proceed ahead, personally
yeah.
speaking. I can't even practice it much more now. Yeah.
So, yeah, so Satvik, see, these are sutras. Sutras are, there are many types of sutras. One is the great sutrakar was Panini, the grammarian, who has also, he is called as Sutrakara. But these are a bit different sutras. Sutras are, they are usually only a few words or even sometimes a single syllable or even one word, and then you have to interpret it. It can be interpreted in different manners. Now, what happens is, a sutra actually means a thread, and it generally starts from one point and goes on, and then somewhere it terminates, and the next thing starts up. Now, where that terminates is never known. One. Another point is, Jaimini has used what is called as the Katapayadi system of decryption. It is an encryption system, uh, generally attributed to Vararuchi. So it is not pre-Parashara, it is perhaps post-Parashara, but there is a huge amount of confusion about it. And the problem with sutras is they are so brief that interpreting it in different ways is possible. Because at different points he has given different type of approach to how to interpret the sutras. This is one thing. I mean, I'll give a very simple, and that is why there is confusion. I'll give you a very simple example. The first sutra is Upadesha Vyakhyasya. Okay, it appears to be very simple. And most of the translations say, "Ki now I shall tell you about, I will define some advice to you. Some say, I am going to define a system of astrology to you. But there is a third one, which says, U means Lord Shankara. Pade means a place. So when Upade means in the city of Kashi, Banaras, which is said to be the city of Lord Shankara,
Shiva. Yeah.
Shiva, and Sham means Shastra, and a Shastra to help others, a science which helps people. And so that is why they say, no, it is like, I am sitting and the Jaimini or whosoever is the author is not known, never mentioned anywhere. But he is generally, this is attributed to Jaimini. And then he says that means that while sitting in the city of Kashmir, Kashi, that is Banaras, I am telling you something, defining something, or elaborated on something, some Shastra, which is the astrology science. So this is the first thing. Then what happens? He talks about Rashi Drishtis, okay, the Rashi aspects. The problem is he does not say you do not look for the planetary aspects. Most of the people associate Jaimini with only Rashi aspects, one, and Rashi Dashas. This is a very basic thing that I am talking about. Now, Jaimini doesn't say you don't do that. People
Okay,
think
it's
that
not mentioned that we don't
Jaimini
need to
D
use
charts,
Parashari.
Jaimini D charts are different. They are not. So yeah, yeah, you are saying something?
Yeah, I was saying that it is not mentioned in the Gemini that we don't need to use the Parashari principle. It's not specifically
No.
mentioned like.
As a matter of fact, he has mentioned in the first chapter. If you see the last shloka, if I am not mistaken, at my age sometimes memory plays games with me, but I would not. He says Horadaya Siddhaha. Siddhas means the acharyas, the pravartakas, as we call them, the 18 pravartakas who are named, you know that. So he said Hora and other things, that means the Hora chart and other D charts or whatever you want to call, even the interpretation of Lagna has already been told by the great savants of astrology. So he makes it clear that he is amplifying on some aspect of the traditional astrology from a different point of view. So this is Horadaya Siddha. Then I think in the fourth, perhaps the fourth, oh, what can we say, chapter of the, rather the fourth part of the fourth section of the first pada, he says, Siddha Ududaye. That means the acharyas, the savants of astrology, have already commented upon the nakshatra dashas, as we call it, the Vinshottari and other dashas. They are based on the nakshatra. So he is making it very clear that this is not something which excludes anything. And if you read Parashari, you will also find the Rashi aspects as well as the Rashi dashas mentioned by Parashari. So this is one great misunderstanding. Many people attribute this Jaimini to the Purva Mimamsa author Jaimini, who was many years ahead of, he was around, I would say either earlier than Parashara or around that time. Yeah, but his sutras are very different. One reads Purva Mimamsa, the style itself is different. Next comes the Katapaya, the interpretation. Numbers are given to letters. I mean, the Devanagari, Barakhadi, we can call it, system of letters. And then it goes from 1 to 9, and then all the vowels and certain other things are connected with the 0. This is Katapayati. This is fine. But about that, he talks a bit later. He says, Sarvatra Savarna Bhava Rashesh. That means wherever a bhava or a rashi is indicated, this system of decryption of words is to be used, like dara, which normally means the seventh bhava for traditional astrology, is to be you give certain number to r, certain to the, flip them around, divide by 12 the variable, and you come to certain numbers. So dara in Gemini means fourth, and that is only a part of it. Okay, he doesn't talk about other words in the sutras. He talks about bhavas and the rashis. Bhava, rasha, cha. Some say cha means all others also. And then coming to your point about kala and oshas, kala, vikala, etc. See, Parashara also has made it clear that only in case of Atmakaraka, you go up to the Vikalas. That is the seconds, as we call it. Kalas are generally in English referred to as minutes. Otherwise, for rest of the things, if you read it, it is always anshas, that is degrees. That is why he says ki when you decide the Atmakara, then the one who is greater in degrees is to be considered. If that is not there, then minutes. If even that does not go, I mean, both are identical, then you go to the seconds. And whosoever is more in number is the Atmakaraka. For the rest, he talks only about option. So that is pretty clear.
Okay, so this is a big confusion getting cleared now. Yeah.
Yeah, so this one has to address. In other cases, what happens is when two have got the same degrees, two planets, then they say ki they merge into one Karaka. And the next Karaka, which is obviously vacant, is taken up by Rahu, the north node of moon. Okay. If even these are identical, I mean, there can be later on another two planets may have identical degrees. Then what is to be done? He says the Sthira Karaka, the fixed Karakas. Fixed Karakas are a bit different. Reading it, you will understand. Not different. Parashara has also said the same thing. Stronger amongst the Sun and Venus, etc., etc. So they will take up the. So the another problem is he says Saptanam Ashtanam Va. There are seven Karakas or eight Karakas. So here again the problem comes in. Whether to consider Rahu as one of the Karakas and you use eight Karakas or seven Karakas, you will see that going on in the, everywhere. Generally, why is used when a sage says he tells his own opinion, that's Saptana. Ashtana was some also say eight Karakas. But that is being talked about the number of Karakas involved, not the planets. He does not say Saptanam, Ashtanam Va is not referring to the number of planets. So planets will be seven. One of the Tika, we call it, commentaries, mentions only seven Karakas, which to me appears more logical. See, from 1 to 7, you look at the whatever attribute is given to those
So
Karakas.
you follow seven Karakas basically.
I follow seven Karaka for this reason, that it stops at the Arakaraka. The eighth Karaka, they say that Matru Karaka and Putra Karaka get merged. So though number may be anything, but I take seven only. This is the reason for it. I mean, I am explaining the reason. Some consider eight Karakas also. There is no harm, but in that case, Dara Karaka goes to the eighth house, whereas Dara is about seventh. Atma Karaka, we know even in regular astrology, we say Lagna is the Atma Karaka. Ascendant itself is a Karaka for Atma. Read the Vishesh Bhav Karaka. Okay. And so the planet with maximum degrees, who has traveled maximum degrees in a Rashi, becomes the Atma Karaka. The second is Amatya Karaka, the minister of the and the lord of the exchequer. For that Atma Karaka is second bhava. We also call it Dhana Karaka. Then the third one comes Bhratru Karaka, Karaka for siblings. Traditional astrology also calls it Bhratru Karaka. Matru Karaka, the Karaka for fourth house. Again, house which indicates mother, and so on till the seventh house. So this is the reason. My personal opinion is uh, they also indicate the opposite of it. Like Dhanakaraka, the Amatya Karaka will also indicate Karaka for the 12th house. This is my opinion. So in astrology, there is nothing like, this is the final opinion. There is a aphorism which says, Matabhede Muninantu Jyotishe Vaidyake Tatha. That means if there are differences in opinion in two learned people in the matter of astrology and medicine, only these two things. Other Vedic, sciences, you don't play with them. You accept whatever is said, verbatim. Then, Ghatet Satphalam Yasmat. Whatever of those opinions give the correct results. Vidagrahyam Tadeva. The learned accept that one. So when I deliver lecture also, I say, "Ki this is my opinion, this is the sage's opinion or other learned commentators' opinion, and you apply it to the charts and find out what happens. Whatever gives you results, accept that. There is nothing like this is the final word in astrology, also in medicine. So we
And for
must remember.
yeah, and for
Yeah.
Karakamsh Lagna, do you follow it in the Naumash or as per KN Rao in the Lagna? Number two, do you see the profession from second house or from Karakamsh Lagna?
I would take generally, I mean, if you ask me, I use all four combinations. You will
Okay.
say, what are these four combinations? I find out what is the most suitable. But generally, mm, I would take the Atmakaraka to the, I mean, the Rashi occupied by Atmakaraka in Navmasha to the Lagna Rashi.
To the
I mean, the
Lagna chart,
Rashi.
superimposing in the Lagna.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I said look it from Atmakaraka also, look it from even Namasha also, and look it from Arudha Lagna also. I'll give you a shloka which makes it clear. Even the great Jaimini says that. He says, Swapitru pada Swapitru pada bhagya rogayo ho papa samya kemadruma. Which means from the Atmakaraka Amsha, from the ascendant itself, and also from the Arudha Pada, if equal number of malefics are placed in the second and eighth bhava, then that leads to Kemadruma Yoga. So it is not that Jaimini is restricting you to only Karakausha or only Arurupada, isn't it? I mean, it is Jaimini himself saying that. Parashara also says the same thing. Lagnadva, Amshadva, Padadva,
And
Upapadadva. He also says from Upapada.
Upata.
So what is being done is he is giving you two or three markers. And my opinion is the more number converge and give you the same results, generally accept that. Personally, when I use Gemini principles in actual prediction, I generally take them directly from the Lagna because Lagna is the body, it is a physical thing. But this is my way of looking at it.
And
You can look at,
for the profession, second house from Karakamsh or Karakamsh Lagna itself? Because many differ
I
therein.
would say from Karakausha Lagna and also from second house of the natal chart also you can see the profession that is likely to do. Second bhava.
Okay,
Second bhava, I would look at it.
second house.
From generally from all three, if I'm confused, but otherwise I will go by second from the Atmakaraka.
Okay, second from the Atmaka.
In one, I think Ram Yatan Oza's commentary mentions that. He said it's not the Amsha, it is the Pada. Pada is wherever he is placed. The Atmakaraka is placed. From there you should see. That is why I was saying that this is all confusion of,
Confusion.
and that is why what happens is it is not used universally in India or elsewhere. Only a few people do it. In Telangana, rather Andhra Pradesh, there were some grades of Jaimini astrology. They had their again own way of interpreting it. Like Madhura Krishnamurti was there, then Iranganti Rangachari was there. These were great savants, but they also have different opinions. And as I said, in astrology as well as in medical science, the Ayurveda, there will be difference of opinion. Uh, Another reason is how to read sutras. That is third problem. So it is said adrushteshu sutreshu because you will find even in Gemini Sutra that you read that certain planets are talked about, nothing else is talked about other planets or other placements, isn't it? So what to do? So they say adrushteshu sutreshu. Sutrantarat anuvartaniya sarvatra. If something is not specifically mentioned, look at it elsewhere. In some sutra or other, it doesn't necessarily mean Jaimini Sutra, it can also mean whatever is told by other savants, and apply it everywhere. The best example is Vipratam Keto, isn't it? In Argala, you remember, there is a sutra called Vipratam Keto. especially when Argala from ninth house or fifth house is to be considered. The fifth house Argala is supposed to be good, but for Ketu from ninth his Argala is supposed to be good. And there is a Vipratam Ketu. Now this can also be applied at other places. When Ketu is there, you just reverse the results. Even there is a, we can call it section, especially in case of siblings, it is said, Keto Bhagini Bahulyam. If third from the, you know, natal chart or from the Atmakaraka or from even the Navamash Rashi occupied by the Atmakaraka, in third house, if there is Ketu, then there are more number of sisters. So now this, in case of, now, it is specifically mentioned in one sutra, so we understand. But what he is saying about Vipratam Ketu, we have to understand. Unlike Rahu, his behavior is different. Otherwise, he is supposed to be like Mars and so a male planet, and one can get confused. But this is one part of it.
And regarding Arudha Lagna, what system you follow? A lot of people are confused whether to follow exception, not to follow. K.N. Rao sir says don't follow exceptions. And the other opinion, Iranti Rangacharya ji, and I guess the all other scholars, they follow the exceptional rule. So there's a big difference of opinion here also.
Exception about the Aruda not falling in the Lagna or the seventh house, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Or in the fourth house.
No, see, that is where you know that sutra, isn't it? Swaste Daraha, etc. That if the planet falls in the fourth house from itself, I mean, from the Rashi it owns, then the fourth itself is the
Arudha.
Aruna. Okay.
Okay.
What does it mean? What does it mean? You use the normal system. Okay. So it will naturally fall in the seventh house because his fourth Rashi is distant from his own house. So you count another four ahead,
Forehead.
isn't it?
Correct.
So why did he then, in that case, specifically say it doesn't happen like that? If he is in the fourth bhava itself is the Aruna. If the lord of a bhava is in fourth from itself, fourth itself is a Aruna. Which means if it falls in seventh, you go to either four backward or go 10 forwards, and that is where the Aruna lies. The reason is Lagna and seventh bhava from itself. They cannot be, the Aruna cannot fall there. Why it cannot fall there? Otherwise, any see if an ascendant holds say sun in own house, then the Arun will be there only. So you have Aruna and Lagna converging, or it will be in the seventh from himself, aspecting the Lagna again. So to make it clear, this is a reflection. What is Aruna? If we have time, I'll say because I think we will be running out of time very soon. It is like that periscope. You remember in science, those who have taken science, they know the periscope. A mirror is fitted at a 45-degree angle on a L-shaped piece of projectile, which is again goes to Z shape. And at both the places, a mirror is placed at 45 degrees. So you can imagine like the planet being the the corner, and on two sides like this, if you can see, this is where the planet is situated. This is his own house, so naturally the reflection of this exactly opposite at the same distance from this planet is the Aruna. So these are reflection of each other, but not each other per se. And that is why I say that yeah, the exception should be applied. This is
Okay.
my
So
view.
so
This is
you
my
follow
view.
the exceptional rule for the Arudha Pada calculation.
Yes, yes, because that is what Jaimini has already said. If we don't use the exception rule, then what happens to the fourth house placement? If a planet is placed from fourth house, it itself becomes the Aruna. That is very clear. That is the shloka, isn't it?
Yes.
Swaste Daraha, isn't it? The word is
Yes. Yes.
fourth, you know that. Katapayadi, I don't have to explain to you. So No, why does it happen? If the exception is to be not to be followed, then if a planet is placed in fourth from itself, the Arun has to fall in the seventh house, isn't it?
Right.
So they are telling us something. If it falls in seventh, it cannot fall there. So where will it fall? Either you can look at it either way. I look at it in the forward manner, tenth from itself, wherever it is falling, or four steps behind, the same house will come. So if it is following in the Lagna, then you assume it to be falling in the 10th house.
Okay. Now this was
But
a, this
this is
yeah.
my view of looking at it.
This was a great insight about Gemini because these basics are what which are stopping people from learning Gemini astrology. People are confused with these basics
I,
only. So I guess
yeah,
until it
yeah,
gets cleared, they can't move forward. And sir, you have a very good experience with nadis also. So how was your experience with Bhrigu Nadi, like translating Bhrigu Nadi? Because these days people they know about Bhrigu Nandi Nadi. They don't think that
yeah.
Bhrigu Nandi Nadi it's a compilation of charts from Bhrigu Nadi and Nandi Nadi. You are the only one who
Nandinadi.
might have read the actual Bhrigu Nadi in as far as I
Yeah,
know because you
yeah.
got the
See,
translated a few years
yeah,
back.
yeah. See, my dear friend Sunil, the supreme of Saptarshi Rishis, uh, he sent me some papers, both about Guru Nadi and Bhrigu Nadi. And they were only 8 or 10 pages, if I remember right. They were handwritten. Uh, Chandubhai Patel had sent somebody who wrote it down in the, you know, uh, Madras Oriental Library. There, those are.
Yes,
These are
I
parts of
read
the
it.
Chandrakala Nadi. This
Okay,
Bhrigu Nadi that I translated, or Guru Nadi I translated, are extension of the Chandrakala Nadi. If you read the Chandrakala Nadi, you will see sometimes you can see this in Buddha Nadi, more specifically in Buddha Nadi, more specifically in Sarva Nadi. So Chandrakala Nadi is the, what can we say? Mm, it is the whole which has extensions. I mean, Chandrakala Nadi has 22,000 shlokas and then still more are there. They give principles. See, there are two types of nadis, you know that. Some nadis talk about from sun at XYZ place, if such a planet is placed, this will happen to the father of the Jataka. Is it?
true.
No, this is based on regular astrological principles. We can
Principle.
learn more much from. Out of that, first there are three parts of it which were translated by R. Santanu, another great savant of astrology. So they are written by two different authors. First part is written by Achyuta, perhaps son of the great Vaidyanatha of Jatak Parishatha fame. And the second is written by Venkatesha. No, I'm sorry, perhaps Venkatesha is son of Vaidyanatha. The second part, and rather the second one and a half part of it, the book I'm talking about, is it focuses more on the yogas themselves. So we can find out more from them. Then Nadi gives a very good hint for astrologers, which I have always been following. When I saw it there, I was very happy. So it says Ita Valya Samakhyata, etc. They say that from these Nadi results, you should fix the Lagna first, the ascendant first, and go on to say that if ascendant is not correctly uh, delineated, then all predictions will fail. This is talking about the importance of ascendant. Nadi has 115 nadis, in every Rashi. They give 150 nadis. You calculate, and then there are sometimes Parardha and Uttarardha, so split into two, and sometimes split into four, like Vipra, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and then the Shudra Nadi. Shudra means one-fourth part, because there are four varnas. Which, when you calculate, generally 2 hours is the period for a Rashi to move. At the equator, of course, as we go up, it will get reduced to some extent. But if we take it to make a division, simple calculation, you will say a small portion of 12 seconds of movement of the zodiac is involved. So it is that precise. How to find that? That is where they say ki, okay, say it will sometimes say that the maternal aunt of the Jataka will have trouble with 1 ear, one eye, or whatever, or she will have a mark, or she will be unmarried, or whatever. That is what normally people do to try to do is to find out that Nadi Amsha and that sort of chart you are not going to get. It will only be by grace of God, somebody with exactly those amshas, etc., will come to you. But they are telling you, "Ki this is not for prediction." Basically, if this is there, then the lagna is fixed.
To fix
Then
the
the
lagna.
ascendant is correct. The ascendant is correct within 12 seconds, which means the Mahadasha order also is correct. Isn't it? You can understand
Correct,
what is
correct,
happening.
correct. And sir, while
And then they give they give importance to transit from Navamsha Rashi,
very, very important, that's something very unique which people don't follow.
which means it has to be within 3 minutes 20 second 3 degrees 20 minutes time frame. When that is it, then something will happen. Isn't it? These are Radi principles. Well, should absorb those principles. You know me, if you have listened to, I think you have listened to my lectures.
Yeah,
I like
I've
to go to.
gone through your YouTube. So, sir, I want to ask
Uh,
one thing. You have translated so many texts also. You have gone through so many texts also. Which Ayan Amsha you follow? Like which Amsha you think it's the
I use the traditional idea.
like that you have sorted out that that works well.
And I use Druka Siddhanta in the instead of Surya Siddhanta, I follow Druka Siddhanta.
Drik
In
Siddhanta.
in I think J Hora there is a option for that. I also use sunrise at when sun's tip appears to be on the eastern horizon. That is my definition for
When
you know
sun's tips appears to be on the
appears
horizon.
to be
Appears to
Suryodaya
be. Okay.
appears to be, because what is written is Suryodayat Ishtagati. So many ghatis from the point of rise of the sun, which is to be seen by eyes. Even Surya Siddhanta mentions that after Ganita, after calculation, mathematical calculation, you correlate it with the what you actually see, and then decide what is the correct position of a planet. So I am not doing anything which is beyond what is already said by the sages. And then I use 360 days a year, 7 days for year
Use
for
Savna year length. Savna.
Savana.
Okay.
Savana
360.
days, 360. That is the year definition I use because Narada has said, Vidir Vidana Stri Garbha Savana Naiva Gruyate. That is written, that shloka does not come from anywhere, it comes from Surya Siddhanta itself. He says, for these purposes, for prediction and delivery of a baby or etc., etc., it means it is connected with the Jataka. One born is known as the Jataka. That is why we call it Jataka. So he says, for that purpose, you use the Savan year and Savan day, which is from sunrise to sunrise.
And for
Isn't
Rahu
it?
Ketu, true nodes or mean nodes.
I use mean road because it is said Sadaiva Vaikrana Daityaha. Surya Chandra Shigra Goyata. Sun and moon always move in the forward direction. Others are sometimes forward, sometimes backward. And the Daitya, that is Rahu and Ketu, they always move in the reverse direction. The reason is very simple why I use it. I'll tell you. True nodes are also not true. That has to do with the nutation of Earth. The Earth, sometimes wobbles around its axis. But the whole problem is they are not physical planets. They are the intersection point. You know what they are, isn't it? And exactly after in 18 months they come back to their own point. So their uh, travel is assumed to be from point one to point B. If it takes 9 months, then you divide that period into certain degrees and say Rahu is at this point, isn't it? From Drik Siddhanta, you cannot make it out. So it is an assumed path, and that is why I use the what is known as the mean node. That not only that it is already stated in the ancient text, but the simple problem is like Jupiter. It is what is Vakra, or what is forward, or what is Atichari, fast moving. it appears to move fast, isn't it?
True.
You don't, you cannot see Rahu unless there is an eclipse, or
True.
Ketu unless there is an eclipse. That is when they are only visible, isn't it? Because planet cannot go backward and forward. It's very simple to understand. They will fall down. Anybody understanding the centrifugal force and centripetal force coming, neutralizing each other will understand why they go on revolving. That is called as the Pravaha Vayu, etc. in the Surya Siddhanta also. Our sages were strong, but the words were different. That's why I use mean notes only,
Okay.
specifically.
No, sir, this was
Specifically.
a very insightful session. I think it's almost 30 minutes, so it will be enough for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
viewers
yeah,
to digest this.
yeah.
But I'll request you, if possible, please come more oftenly here on my channel and share some more insights.
Definitely.
This will give a very good basic idea to the people, and a lot of doubts are getting cleared. Even a lot of my doubts got cleared because you gave a lot of backing from the Shastra, the shlokas.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they help to get a clarity on the calculations and the other aspects.
Yeah, and one has to, something I would advise all listeners and astrologers, budding astrologers, and of course, for me, everybody is young. So I can, and every astrology is a knowledgeable one, even if he's a kid. If he's interested in astrology, he remains there for so many years, which means he is certainly a learned person. Nobody will go into this complicated science for long. So I always say all those things which are talked about, you can see them visually. We don't understand that. We think that those sages were sitting like that and they suddenly got the knowledge. That is not the case. Their intellect was much higher than.
Okay.
Like sun. I just give one example. We will finish this. The great sun, isn't it? Which is, there is always a complication of why it gets exalted in this place. All those planets, why they get exalted, etc., etc. And then somebody says he's sitting in the house of say king, so that it's not so. He gets into deep exaltation at 10 degrees in Aries Rashi, isn't it? That is around 23rd of May. Look at the sun and how bright he is. That is
Yes,
Ucha.
correct. We
Nothing
can
else.
see, we can
Nothing else.
visualize.
You can see him with your own eyes. And in the 10th house, he gets directional strength because that is when he is exactly above our head.